relationships with their players. And it's great to see so many young current players here to hear some of these stories. And so I'm proud of you guys for coming, and thank you for that. When I hear former players, I know there's a lot of former players from these guys up here, talk about these coaches, you know, the conversation usually goes not necessarily to the championships or the games that we won. That will mix itself in. But the conversation really is more about the tough love that you gave them, the unconditional love, the discipline, the development, and everything they did to help with their life skills that they're living their lives today. The sacrifices. Don't forget the fun and the so many lessons that they learned. The championships are why we compete, but the relationships are why we coach. This Hall of Fame honor, those championships, and the records will be enshrined in the archives for years and years. But the relationships that you have with your players will live in your hearts and in theirs until the end of time. Neither of those things can ever be taken from you. That is why you are all Hall of Famers. Congratulations, man. And now for our first inductee. Coach Rich Bilski. Coach Bilski has coached for over 20 years in both Miami-Dade and Broward County, amassing more than 400 wins. His Hialeah High teams captured 2 state championships in his final 2 years as the Thoroughbreds head coach in 2001 and 2002. Under Coach Bilski's leadership, his Archbishop McCarthy teams went on to capture an additional 7 state championships in 8 seasons, a Florida state record, giving his teams 9 total state championships in both public and private schools. Coach Bilski's teams collected an impressive 18-1 record once reaching the finals, and even more impressive, a perfect 9-0 when playing in the state championship game. Coach Bilski was named the National Coach of the Year by USA Today in 2011 and 2017. His Archbishop McCarthy Mavericks teams were named national champions by numerous publications. Following his high school coaching career, Coach Bilski went on to coach for 2 years at Broward College, and he now coaches with the X-Team organization in the summers. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Coach Rich Bilski into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Coach. Good evening, everyone. It appears I'm hitting the leadoff spot this evening in the batting order. And so, to begin, I'm honored and humbled to stand before you here tonight as I accept this incredible recognition and induction into the HSBN South Florida High School Baseball Hall of Fame. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to the good Lord above for blessing me with the ability to coach and for guiding me every step of the way, both on and off the field. It has only been through His grace that I've been able to accomplish so much. I love praying with our teams before each game, not for victories, but that we could honor Him with the talents and gifts He bestowed upon each one of us, and that we would, and still do, give You all the glory, Lord. And Your divine intervention in those close games, it didn't hurt either. We appreciate that. I'd like to recognize and thank my parents who are unable to be here this evening because of their health, but who traveled down from Baltimore countless years throughout my career to support me and share my love for the game of baseball. I can still hear Alex Fernandez before or after games saying to my dad, "There he is, the real Coach Bilski." I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the dedication and resilience and how forever proud I am of my former players from Hialeah, Archbishop McCarthy, and the X-Team organization. Your unwavering determination and trust in me made coaching you an absolute joy and led to our numerous pileups throughout the years. Next, I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for the amazing assistant coaches that I've had throughout my career, beginning with my Hialeah state championship crew, Hector Aguila, Raul Torres, and Carlos Marti. And thank you again, Lord, for those 2 Hialeah state championships and the years I coached there, because it was during those years that I learned how valuable the great assistants can be. Learning this, when Alex Fernandez hired me to coach the Archbishop McCarthy Mavericks, I warned him that I was going to bring a little Hialeah and its toughness to the Maverick baseball program. And that we did, and it led to our success. I got Alex to hire my pitching scientist, former athletic director Rick Butner, and former Hialeah state champion Cookie Abe, who, by the way, I never won a state championship without him, either as a player or as a coach. He's been with me each and every one of them. Also at McCarthy, I was probably the only coach in the country to have 2 former big leaguers as assistant coaches in Alex Fernandez and Nelson Santavina. And together with former Mavericks Brian Valencia, Jason Stetner, my Pro Bowl roommate Mike Mulberg, along with voice of the Mavericks Carlos Guzman, comprised my dream team that put the Maverick baseball program on the state and national stage year after year. Most recently, coaching alongside ex-teams Mark Rodenveld, Felipe Suarez, has been so enjoyable and truly icing on the cake. To all my assistant coaches throughout the years, thank you. Thank you for your friendship, your camaraderie, baseball knowledge, and witty banter that made my coaching career truly a joy. A special thank you goes out to my beautiful Janet, who is my rock, my biggest supporter throughout this journey of life that we share together. Your love, friendship, kindness, and Christ-like character melt me. You make me feel like I'm winning every day with you by my side. You are my Muniguita. In closing, this is a tremendously meaningful moment in my life. And I'm grateful to God beyond words to be recognized alongside the best coaches of South Florida high school baseball history is a moment I will cherish forever. Thank you again, Anthony, and everyone at HSBN for this incredible recognition and for all you do for high school baseball. Thank you to everyone who's here tonight, Jeff Rodriguez, another state champion, who are all enjoying this evening. May God bless you all. Thanks again.
Thank you, Coach Bilski. Our next inductee is Coach Len Cook. The senior Coach Cook has coached for 22 years, 4-time district champions in 73, 83, 84, and 85. He amassed 349 career wins, coached 3 former major league players, FACA State All-Star Game head coach in 1990, and the FACA State All-Star Game assistant coach in 1989. 2-time Coach of the Year in 1973 and 1983. Coach Cook also has one of the most prestigious honors a coach can have. The field at South Broward High School is named Len Cook Field since 1992. My personal experience as a player, in 1983, I played third base at Chaminade High School, and Coach Cook was coaching. And I'll never forget, as I told this, I was so glad I had the opportunity to tell him this the last time I saw him. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. He had a tape recorder in his back pocket, and he would pull it out, and if one of the kids did something good, he would talk into it, or something bad, he would use it as a correction. To this day, this is why I always carry a notepad, something in my back pocket, so I always keep track. And I learned that at a very young age, and Coach Cook was quite the inspiration for me. Unfortunately, the senior Coach Cook could not be with us tonight, as he's been recovering from some health issues in his home state of Iowa. But we got a couple of great pinch hitters tonight for Coach. His grandkids, Logan and Sierra, are here to accept this award on his behalf. So let's welcome Logan and Sierra.
Hello everyone. My name is Logan Cook. If you don't know me, my grandfather is Leonard Cook and my dad is Darren Cook. I'm joined up here by my dad and my sister, Sierra. I'm here to give you a speech about my grandfather, from the many stories I've heard about him, as well as my personal relationship with him. My grandmother and grandfather grew up in a small farming town in rural Iowa, where they met each other and got married soon after. Following his brothers, he joined the military and was shipped to Japan, where he worked, and my grandmother taught English. After his service, he became a teacher and a baseball coach at South Broward High School, where he coached for 3 decades. I've heard many stories about my grandfather. If you ever have met the man, you know he's always trying to make someone laugh. The beginning of his coaching career started at Boggs Field on Sheridan Street, where his team played because the field at South Broward was no good. With both my dad and my uncle coming to play ball at South Broward, he wanted to make a real field for his team to play at, and that is where Lane Cook Field was born. He told all his players to mow lawns and take odd jobs so they could pool their money and start construction on a new field. With that money, as well as some help from the county, sod and clay were laid, and Lane Cook Field was turned from dream to reality. It was a beautiful sight, and what was so nice, I think Coach McQuaid got a little jealous and tried making us feel better. District championships became a familiar tune. He was not just a great mentor, but an outstanding coach, as he nurtured 3 of his players to the major leagues. He shared a special bond with Coach McQuaid and Coach Waters, a connection that has endured through the years. In 1994, my grandpa passed the torch to my dad, entrusting him the legacy he had built. My dad would hear stories about my grandpa from previous players that could only fly in the 80s and are definitely borderline illegal today. One time, the football team was practicing on the field without permission. So what did my grandpa do? He hopped in his plane and started dropping bags of flour out of the window. I bet he thought it was hilarious. Another time, a car sped onto the field and started doing donuts in center field. So he had his whole team throw balls at the car and settle on worse strikes. Once he even promised his team he would shave his head bald if they won 10 games in a row. Guess what happened? Let's just say Jeff Bezos rocks the ball look better than he did. A lifetime Bulldog. He sports the same gray Bulldog shirt as well as the matching red hat every day. The only time I've ever seen him without his trademark outfit is at church, literally. Nowadays, you'll still catch him sitting in the bleachers at Bulldog baseball games at the age of 88, where he'll still answer to greeting a fake coach. My family would like to extend gratitude to Anthony and Paul for this cherished honor presented to my grandfather, and most importantly, give thanks to my grandmother Lois for loving and supporting my grandpa over the years and being the best baseball wife he could ever ask for. Thank you.
That's awesome right there. Terrific job. Thank you. I'm sure Grandpa is really proud of you, just like Dad and Mom are right now. Our next inductee is Coach Mike Moss. Coach Moss moved to South Florida in 1989 after coaching for 6 years in upstate New York. He has coached at Broward County High Schools for 28 years at Lloyd Anderson, Taravella, Chaminade, and West Broward. He has also coached at St. Thomas University for 5 years from 2017 to 2022. During his career, he's amassed 408 wins, including 6 district titles, 4 regional finals, and a state finals appearance. He has been named the Bay Broward Coach of the Year twice and the FACA State All-Star Coach 3 times. He has also had the great privilege of playing big games against many of the men being honored here today. 9 of Mike's former assistants became head coaches, and one, DeMarlo Hale, became a Major League third base coach with several organizations over the past 20 seasons. Mike currently lives in Sunrise and has 4 children and 10 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Mike Moss into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, coaches, guests, and also the lovers of high school baseball that are here tonight. I'd like to begin first by sincerely thanking everyone from the High School Baseball Network, specifically Anthony Utariello and Paul Herford, for spearheading this effort to recognize myself and the other outstanding inductees with this amazing honor of being the original members of the HSBN South Florida Baseball Hall of Fame. I'd like to take a couple of minutes tonight just to talk about the power of coaching and the influence that coaches have. The words and the actions of coaches carry a lot of weight. Sometimes we don't necessarily recognize it. And I can tell you that just recently I had an opportunity to sit down and have dinner with my 87-year-old former high school basketball coach. And I was in upstate New York. 4 of the other players and myself got together with Coach Chamberlain, and we sat down and talked about stories and you know, related about you know, what we've done in life and so on and so forth. But I was reminded of the words that he imparted to me one night. Coach Chamberlain and I didn't have the greatest relationship when I was a junior. We kind of butted heads frequently. You know, of course, mostly my fault, I'm sure. But the bottom line was that I considered not even playing my last year, my senior year of high school, until you know, I you know, got together with my teammates, and they kind of convinced me that I needed to be out there. Well, the season actually went pretty well overall, but our relationship was still kind of sketchy, kind of, you know, cold. Let's put it that way. Until the end of the season, when in the biggest game of the year, we got beat by a half-court shot at the buzzer, and we lost the championship that night. But I had a pretty good night. And after the game, in the locker room, you know, dark after taking a shower and cleaning off and getting ready to go to the bus and everything, Coach Chamberlain came up to me and he said, "Mike, without you, we're nothing." Those words have stuck with me for 48 years, and they drive or have driven the way that I've handled kids and the way that I've gone about my business as a coach for all those years. So those words were very impactful. They meant a lot to me then, and they still do now. And so the power that we have as coaches in the way that we conduct ourselves, the way that we speak to our players and people that are associated with our programs is very, very important, and it's something that we need to recognize. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the joy of coaching, because this is a lot of fun. None of us up here are going to say that we didn't have great times with our players, with our you know, our teams, you know, even with the parents. We had, you know, some great times over the years, whether it was fundraising, whether it was doing work on the field or whatever. So there's a couple of things that stand out about the joy of coaching to me. The first one is the process, as Paul related to you. When you get back away from coaching a little bit, you have a little better perspective, you can see it a little bit clearer, and the process of what we do to get the team ready, you know, the preseason workouts, you know, the fall ball, all of the other things that you go through, that's really what, in the long run, you remember. That's what you really think about. It's not the championships or, you know, the big wins or whatever necessarily that sticks in your mind and in your heart. It's really the process that you go through and the time that you spent relating with those guys, working, you know, digging down deep, whether it was in the weight room or running miles or whatever it may be. The second thing about the joy of coaching is that my players used to say to me when I got in my 50s and early 60s, you know, "Why are you still doing this, Coach? What do you get out of it? What's it all about for you?" And I always tell them that, you know, hey, I'm getting to do what I did when I was 12 years old every single day. I get to come out on a baseball field and put baseball clothes on and hit fungos and throw BP and those kinds of things that I love to do anyhow. And I get to do it day in and day out at my age. So, you know, it's a pretty good thing. It's a pretty rewarding opportunity. And the third thing, of course, is the joy of coaching brings us the results of what we get when our players grow up, they get married, they go out in the world and do good things, and be doctors and lawyers and teachers, and they do all that kind of stuff, and you get to see the results. You get to see them with their families. Going to an alumni game now is like gold, because you get to really see the fruit of all the things that we went through together, and it's just an awesome feeling. A couple of things about philosophy as a coach. You know, I believe that there's a couple of key things. First of all, fundamentals. I was always about doing the little things. Little things, whether it's on the baseball field, whether it's in the fundraising department, whatever it may be. You need to do those little things, I would always preach. And of course, today, you know, in my classroom, same thing, doing the little things, taking care of business, doing your homework, doing all the assignments that are necessary to build up to that big thing in the end, your grade or your victory on the field or your championship, whatever it may be. Second thing was being an example. I always believed in being an example on the field, off the field, whether it was working out or whatever it may be that's associated with the game, always trying to get better. I wanted to impart that to my kids day in and day out. You need to get better every single day. You can't be satisfied no matter how good you are. Thirdly on that, I believed in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. You know, don't try to overcook your grits. Make sure that you keep things relatable, understandable, things that help the kids to really grasp what you're trying to get across. Keep it simple on a regular basis, and that was really the formula that I tried to impart. Now God has blessed me in many ways. He's kept me strong through ups and downs in life, and He's given me pretty good health and pretty good fitness. So even though I'm going to be retiring in a couple of years from teaching, I plan on continuing to be involved with the community, with education. I'm looking forward to a new career and a new season of life as we move past the coaching ranks. But for this to be the closing act, so to speak, of my baseball career as a coach, this is an awesome honor. Anthony, Paul, HSBN as a whole, I just thank you for this opportunity, for this honor. I'll always remember it, and this is an amazing ring that we were given to, and I just look forward to that new season of life, and I thank you all for coming tonight, and God bless.
Thank you, Coach Moss. Our next inductee is Coach Sonny Hansley. Coach Hansley's coaching record is 570 wins, 377 losses, and 28 years of coaching in Broward County. Sonny's coaching career started in 1969 in Chicopee, Massachusetts, after he graduated from American International College. After moving to South Florida in 1981, he was affiliated with Nova Southeastern University, where he coached for 19 years. After leaving Nova Southeastern, Sonny coached at Plantation High School for 4 years. The last 5 years of his high school coaching career were spent at Western High School. At the present time, Sonny is the associate head coach of the Elevate Baseball Academy located in Delray Beach. Sonny is someone that has been on the NSU campus for the past 12 plus years. I want you to know that I do see your fingerprints all over this athletic department, and I think it's not acknowledged nearly enough. And I want to thank you for that, because I wouldn't have the opportunities here if it wasn't for your foundation of what you do. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Sonny Hansley into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. 1981, I was a naive 34-year-old moving to South Florida who thought he knew everything until I got here. And then I had to coach against some of these great coaches back here, and I knew that I had to really up my game. I was fortunate enough, the first year that I was here, I coached at the university school, and then the year after I became the athletic director of the university and started the athletic program and stayed on for 20 years. It was quite an amazing road, and then I went into high school coaching, and we'll get to that in a second. First of all, I'd like to thank Anthony. Terrific job. I remember in 2011 when he came to me when I was at Western High School and said, we're going to start doing the HSBN. I said, what's HSBN? And he said, High School Baseball Network. It was a dream of his that he's carried through, and the culmination is what's happening here tonight. I want to thank you very much for the honor of being here. Secondly, I'd like to thank my wife, Donna. For those of us who are coaches and have wives or significant others, we're not here without them. They're there every day that we're at practice, taking the other children to wherever they have to go. I had a son and a daughter. My wife was taking them to countless gymnastics, baseball practice, soccer, wherever they had to go. I didn't have to worry about that. I was here building a program, and she allowed me to do that. Secondly is assistant coaches. As we talked about here, we are as good as our assistant coaches. I've had tremendous assistant coaches over the last 30 or so years, and I'm just so happy to acknowledge them tonight. Congratulations again to all the coaches being honored today. As I said before, you made me a better coach. I had to really understand a little bit more about what's going on in South Florida when I moved here, and I think that made me a better coach along the way. When I left college baseball and went to Plantation High School, there was a principal there by the name of Pete Tinkham. He hired me, and athletic director, her name was Heidi Thomas. They allowed me to do what I do. I became a guidance counselor, and then I coached baseball. They helped build the facility at Plantation High School. Without them, you never would have had the success there. And then when I left Plantation, moved to Western High School, my principal there was Scott Fisk, and the athletic director there was Kathy McCarthy. Western High School at that time had been hit by a hurricane. Everything was torn to knock down. We didn't have dugouts, we had no batting cages. Scott Fisk and Kathy and a number of other people who volunteered helped rebuild that facility. So if you've been to Western, it's because the facility there is because of the people that volunteered their time and effort to rebuild that. As was mentioned, presently I am the assistant head coach at Elevate Baseball Academy in Delray Beach. It's an elite program. I get to do what Mike just talked about, being a kid every day. Every day I get to put my uniform on and go out and teach. And the reason I do it is for the same reason Mike talked about. Kids would ask me, Coach, at your age, what are you doing? He said, I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying coaching. I'm enjoying the fact that I can teach you, and then I can see the fruits of our work. That's the biggest thing. The questions that they ask now are so enlightening that I just enjoy that every day that I'm out there on the baseball field. When I was starting to coach, I had a calendar on my desk. One of the sayings that I had on my desk, and I use this to this day, and I'll relay it to you right now. It said, if two people always agree, one is not necessary. That's a code that I go by. My assistant coaches, anybody that I deal with, I'm not looking for people that are going to be yes people. I'm looking for people that are going to make us better. What do you think? Give me your suggestions, and we'll implement those. So that's one of the things that I do. Mike talked about his high school coach. I have a quote from my high school coach that I live by every day. Coach William Moget, who's my high school coach in football, basketball, and baseball. Again, at times, we weren't on the same page, and we had some issues, but he did say something to me as I got into the coaching with him after I graduated from college. He said, great players make great coaches. So all of us that are up on stage here are a product of the players that we've had, the players that we've been fortunate to coach, and they have made us a better coach and a better person. Again, thank you, Anthony, for everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonny. Our next inductee is Jason Hamilton. Coach Hamilton has been 25 years as a head coach at Northeast High School and Cardinal Gibbons High School. With a career record of 404 wins, 230 losses, and 4 ties at both Northeast High School and Cardinal Gibbons, Jason has accumulated 13 Coach of the Year awards, 10 20-win seasons, 9 district championships, 9 regional semifinal appearances, 3 regional final appearances, and 2019, Jason's Cardinal Gibbons team was a state runner-up. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jason Hamilton into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
I hate to admit this from the start, but when I first closely looked at the names of the inductees that are represented here tonight, I thought there was a big mistake, and I was really confused. I thought that I was way too young to be receiving information from the Social Security Administration. All joking aside, I'm very humbled and very honored to be here tonight amongst great coaches, coaches that I grew up watching when I was a little kid. It's a very surreal moment for me to be on stage with a coach like Eddie Waters, to be in the same conversation with a coach like Len Cook. I'm sure Darren can relate to what I'm saying because he was the son of a high school baseball coach as well. I want to thank Anthony and Paul and the HSBN for acknowledging not just these great coaches up here with me tonight, but great men that have done a lot of great things for kids in South Florida for a very long time. When baseball coaches get together, whether it's at conventions or events like this, we always like to tell stories. So I'm going to tell you a story about one of my earliest baseball coaching memories. My dad was a high school baseball coach at Stranahan in the 1970s, and before he moved on to be an athletic director at Coconut Creek for very many years, in which he's most known for. Now back in those days, there were some really good rivalries on the east side of town between Stranahan High School and Northeast High School and Fort Lauderdale High School, until George Pettit came along and took the job at Cardinal Gibbons and started to control the east side of town in Fort Lauderdale. One day, I remember coming to Stranahan for a Saturday practice during the regular season, and it was 1979. I think that Rich Hoffman and Pat McQuaid were somewhere around their 15th year of coaching by then. When we got to the field, to our surprise, there was a Fort Lauderdale Flying L logo burned into the middle of the infield at Stranahan. Wait for it. In between home plate and the pitcher's mound. Now, many of you knew my father, and you knew he was a pretty fiery guy, and I don't think I've ever seen him that mad. He was pretty furious about that. He gathered himself, and a couple minutes later, he brought his players together, and he talked to them like they would in a huddle on a knee, told them about the practice plan. And I remember being there and vividly remembering saying that every time that you walk by that Flying L, you're going to spit on it all practice long. Now, my sister and I were 4 and 5 years old respectively. And during that time, and Coach Portis, we've been friends for 40 years. And I hate to admit this to you in front of all of our friends here today, but my sister and I spit on that Flying L for the entire rest of that practice. Now, if you're wondering if there was retribution, there was. Coach Jack Trainer was the coach of Fort Lauderdale then. He didn't have a scoreboard that worked for the rest of the year because I think the Stranahan boys took that out of commission that weekend as well. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with a coach that had a lot of love for his program. I grew up with a coach that had a lot of pride for his program. I grew up with a coach that loved his players. The players loved him. I learned so much from the assistant coaches of my dad at Stranahan at a young age. I learned so much from the coaches that coached under him at Coconut Creek for all those years. I was fortunate to coach with the legendary coach Tom Heisel at Coconut Creek, along with his assistants Scott Sundermeyer and Tony Villa. Those coaches didn't talk about pride and love and history and tradition within their program. They lived it. They lived that, and that's how I lived, and that's how I still live to this day, as they all do. Now, those early lessons that I learned as a young kid, I learned about competition at a very young age. I learned and saw how players respond to coaches. I also learned, per my story earlier, what healthy rivalries look like and what unhealthy rivalries look like. And that's why we do it. You know, all those things that I just talked about are reasons why we're here today. That gives us the drive to do what we do and what we have done for very many years. One thing that I was really looking forward to tonight was spending some time with some of my old friends I hadn't seen for a while, my old coaching buddies, and meeting some new coaches that I had never met before. And the cocktail hour definitely did not disappoint. I've known some coaches up here for 20 years. I've known some coaches up here for over 30 years. I've known Frank Bombalis and Terry Portis for 40 plus years. Almost every year of my life I've known these guys. And that was a very, very special moment for me. To conclude, I just want to tell you how grateful I am to be a part of the first inaugural class of the HSBN Hall of Fame, to go in with a great bunch of coaches. And I accept that honor on behalf of my wife, Angela, and our family. my sons Caden and Cooper, my daughter Kinsley, and all of the coaches and players and parents that have been with me on this ride, starting at Northeast and now presently at Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale. I congratulate all the inductees again. I'm very honored to be here with everybody, and thank you very much.
Good job, Jason. Our next inductee is Mandy Pelaez. Coach Pelaez, after playing college ball for Steve Hertz at Miami-Dade Community College and FIU, Mandy started coaching as an assistant coach for his alma mater, Southwest High School. He has been coaching high school baseball for 32 years. First head coaching job was at Miami Central for 2 years, followed by 17 years at Miami Sunset High School, where he won the school's first district championship. Excuse me. Countless players have played major college and professional baseball. One in particular was Michael Paez, who was a College World Series champion for Coastal Carolina. Mandy has come full circle and is currently coaching where it all started at Southwest High School. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Mandy Pelaez into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you for all for coming for such a special occasion. First of all, I want to thank Anthony and his staff for setting this up. We had a great time yesterday in the baseball game. It's truly an honor, especially with all these legends behind me. We have to thank a lot, especially all the coaches that paved the way before us. Skip Bertman, my college coach, the most influential coach I've ever had, Steve Hertz, Coach Burnside, that took me under his wing as a sophomore in high school. I learned so much from him, and I want to thank him for everything he's done for high school baseball as well as for me. Those are truly the godfathers of high school baseball down here in South Florida. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my parents, the sacrifice they made for my brother, my sister, and I. I never got to thank them, but listening to and talking, reminiscing about all the stories of our baseball careers, ending up in Miami, a hotbed for baseball. My brother that introduced me to the game of baseball, taught me what it takes to be competitive, and prepared me for high school and college ball. My wife of 20 years, thank you very much for all your support and supporting our 12 to 15-hour days that we spend on our field playing and enjoying the game that we love. The coaches, all my coaches that have been through, love competing with and suiting up, but mostly what we do it for is for our present and former players. Like the coaches were saying, watching them grow on the field and become productive humans, that's what it's all about. Thank you very much once again, coaches. Congratulations, and thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you, Mandy. Our next inductee is Coach Pat McQuaid. Coach McQuaid has coached his alma mater, Nova High School, for 44 years. He built a program that has been envied and modeled by coaches for decades. He has 947 career wins, 18 district championships, 2 state championships, and a national championship in 2005. He was inducted into the Broward County Hall of Fame in 2005 and the FHSA Hall of Fame in 2010, and will be inducted into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame this January in Dallas. What Pat has built, both literally and figuratively at Nova High School, is amazing. I remember playing at Nova when I was in high school, and honestly, it was just at the beginning of his coaching career, and they literally just had benches. There were no dugouts, there were benches. And what he has been able to do over the years by building one of the nicest high school baseball facilities, one of the first high school facilities to have an indoor batting facility. And he is so generous and open and allowing coaches in the community to use it. And he's just been so generous with everything that he's done. You know, Jason mentioned a couple of minutes ago about rivalries. Coach McQuaid taught me personally what a healthy rivalry looks at. Arguably, I believe that the Nova-St. Thomas rivalry is one of the best. And it's one of the best because Coach Waters and Coach McQuaid and the respect they have for each other, and they teach their players that. I could go on and on about Coach McQuaid, but I'm going to keep this thing moving. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Pat McQuaid into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
All right, wow, this is a great honor. First, I'd like to, because I'll forget it, I'd like to thank my wife, my high school sweetheart, and married now for almost 53 years. And all the coaches understand that if you don't have the support of your wife, you couldn't coach. And for her to put up with missing dinners and missing vacations and taking care of the kids at school, for her to allow me to do that, you know, I say thank you. And what we talked about earlier, the coaches, when I started coaching, you had Jack Trainer at Fort Lauderdale, you had Pete DeBerry at Stranahan, you had Jason's dad, I used to call him Hambone. And I learned from them, Lenny Cook, and that is true. I would go to South Broward High School and see what new project Coach Cook was going to put up, and I was going to copy what he did. And I learned a lot from him, and, you know, I know he's got some health issues now, but, you know, he taught me a lot just watching him coach and watching how he dealt with the kids. And then had Darren at baseball camp, and, you know, those were special times. Right now, you know, I want to thank Paul for the introduction to the university school and athletic director Paul Herford. Thank you for hosting this Hall of Fame event, because it's a special event. To the High School Baseball Network, thank you for deeming me worthy of this honor. To Anthony, the network has filled the void that was created by the media not covering high school sports anymore. The service provided by the network to showcase the teams, schedules, stats, players, managers, and feature stories is rivaled by no one. You can't get the information unless you get on the network. And to Anthony, his dream has come to fruition, and it's something that I know as a high school coach you can't live without now. And to have that platform that promotes South Florida and the great game of baseball is special. So Anthony, I thank you for doing that. Nova High School has been my second. Nova High School has been my second home since 1963. As a student athlete, a teacher, coach, athletic administrator, Nova's always created an atmosphere for me that encouraged hard work, achievement, and success. Nova allowed us to build a stadium, a tradition, a history, and create memories that will last forever. Sort of like that's happening at Douglas now through the years. That happened at Archbishop. And those times are special. Success starts with a dream, a plan, and becomes a reality with passion and hard work. Through the years, I've worked by a simple philosophy: give young kids the facility and the tools to chase their dreams, and great things will happen. Young people are successful when they invest in a program and aren't given the option to fail. Give them a plan, demand sweat equity, and with that comes responsibility, ownership, pride, and success is always a product of hard work. Baseball, like no other sport, teaches about life. It teaches how to deal with success and failure. It teaches responsibility, teamwork, and work ethic. It can be humbling, rewarding, surprising, and unpredictable, sometimes all in the same inning. Baseball is about dreams, memories, and stories. The game of baseball is special. It reminds you of your youth. I want everybody now to close your eyes for a minute. Yeah, close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I want you to remember. I want you to remember the times playing catch with your mom and dad. Your first glove. Your first bat. That first base hit, and you knew you belonged in the game. Your first great defensive play. And the anticipation of game day. That was always special. And then to put that Little League uniform on and think you were in the big leagues. Those memories are special. And then, of course, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. But there was always a snack at the end of the ball game or Dairy Queen. So those were special times. You see, the game of baseball invites you to play and then attracts you with its beauty and a rhythm like no other. Baseball has a beauty that pleases the senses. The sight, the smell, the sounds of baseball are like no other. The crack of bat, the sound of the baseball pounding the leather glove, the sweet smell of pine tar, the smell of popcorn in a concession stand, the smell of the freshly cut grass on the field, the sight of the green grass meeting the red clay, the beauty of the white bases and the chalk lines that mark the field, the perfect dimensions, 90 feet, 60 foot, 6 inches. A game not measured by time, but by the ability and the skills of those who play. A game storied in tradition, a field where dreams can come true and the unexpected always happens. That's baseball, and it's the greatest game ever. And to everyone out here, and to the coaches, I hope your dreams become your reality and they tell the story of your journey. And remember these things, these 3 things are the most important things you have. Your family, your name, and your word. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach McQuaid. That was outstanding. I hope you guys over there, Douglas guys, are listening and getting a lot of great life information. We appreciate that. All right, our next inductee is Pedro Guerra. Coach Guerra, go ahead, give it up. Coach Guerra began his coaching career in 1990 at the baseball academy named America of the Little League. In 1995, he took the head coaching position of the middle school, freshman team, and JV teams all at the same time at Miami Burrito. I don't know how you did that, Coach. While also working as an assistant coach on the varsity team. In 2003, he was named the head coach for the varsity baseball team at Miami Burrito. Under his leadership, Miami Burrito won 12 district championships, 5 regional titles, 3 state championships. Coach Guerra was named Coach of the Year in 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Pedro Guerra into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Ante todo, le pido disculpas, no sorry. Mi inglés no es muy bueno. Y entonces prefiero que otro hijo mío, que ha estado en mi carrera durante muchos años, me lea lo que yo escribí sobre parte de mi carrera en el béisbol. Lázaro Fundora.
All right, guys, bear with me a little bit, but translated it, so hopefully I get it all in right. It's a very special moment for him and for myself. It's a big deal also. Good evening, everybody. Today is a very special day for me. I want to begin by thanking God for all the blessings in my life and for giving me the opportunity to do what I enjoy in my life, which is coach the game of baseball for so many years. I would also like to thank the Brito family for the unconditional support they have given me for over 28 years. Also to my family, especially to my wife, Margarita, who has to deal with me, especially after losing a game. That's a little rough. My history is a simple one that I can't compare, which I can't compare to all these great coaches that I'm sharing this night with. As much of them have reached levels I can never reach, but I will never change my history. This dream began with my son, where I went on to own an academy when he was 6 years old. And also I went on to begin my career in Brito, coaching our Little League teams and our freshman and JV team, and also as an assistant coach in varsity, with Ralph Suarez as the head coach. Sorry, guys. Also, I went on then to become the head coach in 2003. Also, as an assistant, he was part of numerous state championships, including 3 in which his son, Pedro Guerra Jr., was a member of. In 2003, I was given the direction of the program. 3 years later, in 2006, we won another state title. Along with my, I swear he wrote this, along with my other son, Lázaro Fundora, a very important person in my career. At that point, I learned my method in life, which is to help guide young men, not only in the game of baseball, but in life, and to become good citizens and productive members of society. I continue working year after year, winning some districts and regional titles, and winning back-to-back state titles in 2014, 2015. But the most important thing is that I'm still here at the age of 69 with the same force and dedication to keep going. I'll say so. Thank you, HSBN, and everyone involved with this, for recognizing, and he specified, our work. Thank you, and good evening.
Good job. You guys doing all right? Need to stretch or something? See some of you squirming in your seats. All right, moving right along. Good job, man. All right, our next inductee, very special man, Coach George Pettit. Coach Pettit has coached Cardinal Gibbons High School from 1984 to 2000, and Pompano Beach High School 2004 to 2008, and then once again in 2011, amassing 406 wins. Coach Pettit's Cardinal Gibbons teams won 10 district championships, 5 regional championships, 2 sectional championships, 2 Final Four appearances, and 1 state championship in 1987. In 1987, Coach Pettit was the All-Sports Coach of the Year, the baseball coach of the year, and in 1996, he was the 4A state coach of the year. 56 of 94 graduating seniors received baseball scholarships. And he's also coached 2 former major leaguers, Josh Fogg and Ryan Shealy. To me, Coach Pettit is the epitome of being a professional. You never saw him lose his cool, at least I didn't. Maybe his players did at times. He's constantly coaching, being positive with his players. I will say, though, that Coach Pettit, he may not look like it today, but he's a pretty intimidating guy. I remember going to do the home plate visit with the umpires before the game. And Coach, what are you, 6'4", 6'5"? 6'5", 6'6". So he comes to home plate, you know, he's towering over you. But that's not the worst part. Then he's going to bring his pitching coach, Mark Klein, who's 6'5" and 6'6". And I never understood that. Was that an intimidation factor? And it worked. I get these 2 guys towering over me. It's the first time you got a pitching coach and the head coach coming to the home plate visit. But Coach Pettit was just a class act, and we are so grateful that he is here all the way from Jacksonville. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Coach George Pettit to the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
I'm going to make this short. I've got a few thank yous and some acknowledgments. First off, thank God for allowing me to do something that I've loved for a long, long time. Thank God. Thank Anthony and Terry Hill, Paul Herford for putting this together. What a great venue for high school baseball here in South Florida. I'd like to thank my family, Shelby, Kaylee, Mike, and Shaley, for always supporting me. They were basically born and raised on a baseball field or in a batting cage. Supported positive support throughout my career, and I thank you guys for that. I worked for a coach in Okeechobee, Coach Tim Gillis. 1979, I was hired as an assistant. I worked in Okeechobee for 3 years. But for a young coach, it was like going to baseball college. It was a fantastic way to start your career as a coach. Coach Gillis took me everywhere. I learned about not only baseball during the game, but I learned about mowing the grass and how to build a dugout and just everything you can imagine about baseball. It encouraged me to come up with my absolutes of baseball. My absolutes include organization, communication, discipline, philosophy, and style. Organization. Be as highly organized as you possibly can be. We would take a practice plan, and every single minute of our practice was documented. Every kid had a practice plan in his back pocket, and they weren't going to ask, what were we doing next, coach? They'd pull it out and look at it, and they knew what we were going to do. Communication. It's one thing to be knowledgeable, know a little bit about the game. It's another thing to be able to communicate your knowledge to the kids. So you've got 15 or 20 kids on a team. That means there may be 15 or 20 different ways that you can communicate. We learn by hearing, by seeing, and by doing. And you've got to make sure you hit all 3 of those things when you're trying to teach kids. It was organization, communication, discipline. Discipline isn't a reprimand after a misbehavior. Discipline is an attitude that's created by the coaching staff and the leaders of the team right from the get-go. And if it's done properly, you have a minimal number of mistakes, a minimal number of discipline problems. Philosophy, I don't know whether my philosophy would go right now because I believe that high school legs were more effective than high school arms and high school gloves, meaning if you put the ball in play hard and force somebody to catch it, throw it, and catch it again, in high school ball, you get a chance for being successful, really successful. But, you know, today it's hit the ball in the air. I don't even get it started. And finally, it's style, which simply means be true to yourself. Don't try to pretend to be someone else. Be yourself, because the kids can read right through it if you're faking it. Be yourself, and be consistent throughout, so they know where they always stand with you. I'd like to thank and acknowledge some folks for helping me in my career. George Eckerly, I'd like to acknowledge, who hired me at Cardinal Gibbons. It was my first head coaching job in 1983. Tanya Dix at Pompano Beach hired me to come on over to Pompano and try to build that program over there. Pat McQueen at Nova High School, for taking me in as an assistant. I spent 3.5 years with Pat, and they were 3.5 of the best years of my coaching career. So thanks to Pat and Lori. Treated me like family. Took my kids to Busch Gardens, took them everywhere. So I really appreciate that. At Nova, I just want to say, I learned the meaning of hard work. Nobody was going to outwork a Nova Titan. Very, very, very important. I want to thank assistant coaches and acknowledge assistant coaches throughout my career. Greg Lacera, John Keefe, the late Bob Stiegel, Marvin Detweiler, Joe Leone, Steve Weigel, Kelly Wright, and finally Mark Klein. Mark and I were together for 20 years. And it worked out really well because I'm kind of quiet and reserved, and Mark isn't. So that combination worked extremely well. I was the bad guy. I would fuss at the kids, and Mark was the good guy. He would put his arm around the kids, and talk to them, and then come back and tell me what the problem was. The very best pitching coach I've ever been around, been associated with, could possibly know, and that includes high school, college, or professional baseball. So thank you, Mark, for being here. Finally, the players. I mean, without the players buying into what we were trying to teach them, we wouldn't be successful at all. So I thank all those players that I had an opportunity to coach. And finally, I just want to share, we always had 3 goals. The first one was to learn as much baseball as we possibly could. I always felt that when my kids graduated, I wanted them to be able to go out and coach a high school baseball team. I wanted to little intimate details. I wanted them to have every single one of those things. We always look for an edge. Always. I don't care whether it's a hidden ball trick or a pick or whatever it is. We're always looking for an edge that may get us over the hump when we play a better team, a team that's physically better than ours. So we want to learn as much baseball as we possibly can. We want to win, and we want to have fun. And those 3 things go hand in hand. If you don't learn the right way to play the game, you're not going to win that often. And if you don't win, you're not going to have fun. Thank you very, very, very much.
Great job, Coach Pettit. Thank you. Our next inductee is Darren Cook. The junior Coach Cook. As a player, Darren was a 1984-1985 Miami Herald and Sun Sentinel first-team All-County infielder while guiding his team to district championships in '83, '84, and '85. In 1985, Darren was selected for the FACA State All-Star Game. And as a coach, Darren has spent 20 years at South Broward, continuing his dad's legacy, winning 2 district championships, 8 regional game appearances, 2-time Coach of the Year in 2001 and 2008, assistant coach of the FACA State All-Star Game with over 200 wins. Darren also coached in college as an assistant coach at Long Beach State in 1991, qualifying for the College World Series, and also as an assistant coach at Point Loma Nazarene University in 1993 and 94, qualifying for the NAIA College World Series. Darren, I think I speak for everyone on this stage that Coach Cook Sr., your dad, is extremely proud of you for creating your own legacy at South Broward while also always honoring his. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Darren Cook into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Paul. At South Broward, we had several really good years, several pretty bad years, and a bunch of years that were slightly above average. And it was one of those bad years. I was walking into school, and after a loss the previous night, it seems like it takes a little longer to walk from the parking lot into school and up 3 stories. And the principal said, "How'd you do last night?" And I just dropped my head and said, "Football score," and just kept on walking. Started class, and about halfway through first hour, he called upset. "You lied to me." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You told me you lost by a football score. The score was 21-3. So I said, "Well, that is a football score. Can I get back to teaching now, sir?" So, first of all, I want to thank my kids, Logan and Sierra, for presenting tonight. I wouldn't have been able to get through that for my father. I want to thank the assistants that I've had through the years and former players. Some of them are here tonight. And of course, I want to thank my wife, who spent a lot of time raising kids and doing science fair and working concession stands and all the things that it takes for baseball wives to do. A lot of nights while I was at the Panther Arena, spending way too much time in a parking lot with Coach McQuaid and talking to Luby. So thank you, honey. It's me and you. My brother and I grew up at the baseball field, watching Dad coach, and so naturally we always wanted to play at South Broward. So by the time high school came around, we played there and had several good years, pretty good teams. In 1985, we won district championship, and we lost 1-0 in regionals to Tom Duffin's Pace team. Tom, I still think we were a better team. If we were best out of 3, I think we'd have won it all that year. But then as I took over after a few years, one thing that somebody told me was that there's 2 types of people. There's learners and there's people that know it all. And I always wanted to be a learner, tried to be a learner. One of my college friends was a catcher, and he was a philosophy major, and he never did get a job with that. So guys, don't even think about getting a philosophy degree. Not a good idea. But what he did say one day, we were talking about baseball, he said, "No kid tries to suck." And I thought that was an interesting concept. And I tried to remember that when things aren't going well, because baseball is a game of failure. And we really tried to, my staff and I, to keep that idea with us. I took a little break after coaching and ended up as an assistant for the softball team. My daughter was on the team, and she said to me one day, "You're making us nervous." I said, "Okay, what am I doing that's making you nervous?" She said, "Well, when we mess up, you stand up off the bucket and you walk to the end of the dugout." So I said, "Okay, well, I'll try to stay on the bucket for the entire game." But it did occur to me that she had something, and coaching the girls actually made me a better coach, and so I really tried to stay on the bucket when things were not going well through the years after that experience. The players obviously were special, as a lot of the coaches here have mentioned. I had a player, well, a guy showed up at practice one day in a military uniform, and he came up, and I didn't really recognize him. Then he said his name, and I did recognize him. He said, "Coach, I want to thank you." And we've all heard that before. I said, "Well, for what?" He said, "Well, you kicked me off the team." And my heart rate went a little up, and he said, "You know, it really hurt me, but it made a difference. I stopped smoking, I got my act together, I joined the military, and I'm doing great with the Army." So there's little things that occur. It's not just all about what happens between the lines. In conclusion, I want to just point out a few of the guys that are here tonight. Coach Portis and Frank, I really admire the way that you guys run your programs, and the dedication that you've shown through all those years is really, really top notch. Coach Hoffman, Coach Pettick, you guys, whenever I tried to pick your brain a little bit, you were really generous with that. Coach Hamilton brought an entire team. We were playing, it was Northeast, wasn't it? Northeast was playing at South Broward, and his team didn't look really good. And apparently, I don't know what had happened, but Jason had benched every starter except one. And I don't remember who won the game, Jason.
You did by a run.
Nice. But, you know, Coach Hamilton, this guy didn't compromise. And he had rules and expectations, and those mattered. I played my first year of college baseball for Coach Burnside here. And I remember being late one day, and he simply said, "Go home. See you tomorrow." And it was a great lesson. Coach, in 27 years of teaching, I've never been late. Thank you. Coach Evans, you guys had it going at Flanagan. What an example that was for me on what I wanted to achieve there. You know, that was just awesome, and I treasure our days going back to crop. And Coach Waters, the relationship that he had with my father, he showed, when St. Thomas would play South Broward, it was a good game. But then they were friends, and he showed me that you could really have a good rivalry and be friends after the game. Coach McQuaid, who probably in 20 years of coaching, maybe, well, I beat him 2 or 3 times. But Coach took the time, and I know he was pissed, but he took the time after the game to shake my hand and spend a minute with me, and just, I could tell that he was pleased for me for the win and for our boys who were really excited to beat a quality Nova team. I'm honored to be up here with you coaches. Paul, Anthony, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Good job, Darren. Our next inductee is Coach Rich Hoffman. Coach Hoffman's been a head coach for 43 years, all-time winningest high school coach with 1,020 victories and only 287 losses. And I had the privilege to witness his 1,000th win, and it was my honor that he was the head coach at University School at the time that he accomplished that. Listen to these numbers. 10 state titles, 5 consecutive from 96 to 2000. 2 national titles in 92 and 96. 200 plus college players, 46 drafted players, 15 major leaguers, 11 National Coach of the Year awards, 8 Hall of Fame inductions. High school baseball coach of the decade in the 1990s from Baseball America. I don't think there's anything else you can do, Rich. Rich is very special to me. Just a quick thing I just want to mention. Back in the early 90s when I first started coaching, I picked up the phone, and at that time, Rich's team was #1 in the country. They were nationally known. I remember they were one of the first high school teams from Florida to travel to California to play, and they were doing that. And I just got a head coaching job, and I picked up the phone, and I asked Coach Hoffman if he would be willing to play us. And his schedule was at a premium because everybody, wanted to play them. But my motivation was different than trying to be a brash young coach thinking I was going to knock off Westminster Christian and National Power. Darren kind of alluded to it when he was talking about Ray a little bit. My motivation was I wanted my kids to see where the bar was set for excellence. He definitely 10-run rule us without a doubt. but it was probably one of the greatest experiences for my kids. They were in awe just to watch his team play. And over the years, we developed a relationship. And Rich also taught me the importance of stressing out my players. He was all about, you stress them out in practice, you get their heartbeat up, because when it comes game time, it's easy. And I don't know if I've ever seen a coach that holds his players more accountable day in and day out. It truly is my pleasure, and I ask that you please join me in welcoming Rich Hoffman into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
A little trivia about Anthony. Everybody's been thanking him, so I'm not going to do that. But you may not realize it, but Anthony was a coach at Piper, and I got hired to be the head coach. He got fired, and I hired him to be my assistant. Okay? And that happened to me twice. The other time was when I was hired to coach at Westminster Academy, and Steve Karp was the head coach, and he got fired, and I hired him to be my pitching coach. And I feel bad about Steve Karp because he passed away due to COVID, so I just want to mention him because he was a special friend to me. It's a long time, it's a long ride from Gainesville, Florida to South Florida, which I've just done, and it's good to be home, where the best baseball in the whole world is played in South Florida. So all you guys that are here, you're lucky you're in the best baseball with the best coaches anywhere. Okay, so I'm glad to be in with these guys. The most fun I had is just stories, telling jokes, and things like that. Appreciate Paul. Paul was another one. You know, I hired Paul to coach for me. And then he was my boss when I was at university school. So I had some interesting experiences over the years. All I ever wanted to be was a baseball coach, from as long as I can remember. So when I grew up in Racine, Wisconsin, ended up playing baseball there, played at a small college in Grand Rapids, Michigan. In 1967, August, I came here to a program at Westminster Christian School, my first year I ever taught. So you're trying to figure out how old I am, I'm sure, right? Well, I'm almost 80. I'll be 80 in the next year. So I started out as a young buck, didn't have anybody to mentor me. I had to learn it the hard way. So if I ever would do it again, I'd always want somebody to mentor me first so I wouldn't have to go through some of the tough experiences. So that was kind of the beginning for me as a coach. And I want to do some thanking really quickly because most of my family's not here, but my wife Jo has been very supportive. She's actually my scorekeeper for a lot of the time in the 1990s. She knew baseball. And a funny story about her is we used to give signs for the catcher, you know, to throw certain pitches. She actually gave signs for me, which you guys never knew, okay? But she would call a curveball, fastball, or whatever. And so she was really a good baseball wife. I had 5 children, 12 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, okay? And I'm going to save one of my children to the end here. I want to thank my assistant coaches. I've had some great ones, and I really appreciated all that they've done for me. My players, of course, were tremendous. I think a couple of them are here. Hopefully, at least I know Vaughn Sturtzbach was here on my 1999 team, which won the state championship. He was 13-0 that year. And Manny Crespo played for me in the mid-90s. He was on our 96, 36-0 undefeated team. So I know that those two are here. I'm not sure if there's anybody else. And then as I've gone through some of the highlights of my career, and Paul's read some of those, but I think the most important thing for me is is to see that your players reach their maximum potential. To me, that's what the most important thing is. A great coach has allows their players or can teach their players to become the best that they can possibly be. That's all you can ever ask out of anybody, is to do that. And so if coaches do that, it doesn't matter whether they won a district championship or, you know, they won national championships and anything like that. But that's the most important thing, along with developing them as a person, because that's more important. That's going to last longer than their baseball career. Just a couple of highlights of my career. I was talking with Ralph at Key West. We played at Mark Light Stadium, and there was 3,000 people in 1996, and it was an unbelievable game. The hype was so big, you could actually see the people levitating in the bleachers just before the game started. And I'm happy to say that I won. Then we went to California 2 weeks later and also played in the upper deck, and he finished fourth that year and we finished first. So that was one of the greatest high school regular season games. And my other one was in 1989 when we were just starting to be noticed. We went out to played in the tournament at Boardwalk in baseball, and we beat 3 nationally ranked teams during that week, and then we stayed over and played Sarasota High School on Tuesday. It had just been named #1 in the country, and we were #2. And we went out to Ed Smith Stadium, and there was also 3,000 fans in that game. And Rolly Caradad, my split finger pitcher, struck out 14 Sarasota Sailors. And Manny Tamargo, one of my outfielders, hit a bases loaded double in the first inning, and we beat him 6-1. And that was really the beginning of the success of our program in terms of the national exposure. I just wanted to mention one other thing that out of all the coaches and everything, one of the highlights of my career was the last 7 years that I was here in South Florida, and that is when Todd Fitzgerald asked me or invited me to come and help. And so the ride that we had the last 7 years was really a highlight for me, because there weren't a lot of guys that would allow me to help them or to work with them. Okay, because generally I didn't have that good a reputation, so a lot of people probably wouldn't have hired me. But through it all, while I was here, we won 2 national championships, 2 state championships, and I was able to tack on another 144 victories in that period of time. So, Todd, that was a real highlight. I love you, man. You did a great job. Now, the last thing is, I guess people always ask me who the greatest players you had, what were the greatest experiences you've had. And of course, winning national championships, 4 of them, 2 as a head coach, 2 as an assistant coach, and 12 state championships. Those are highlights, and they're good. Getting in 8 or 9 Hall of Fames, those are all wonderful. Okay, but the greatest thrill or the greatest experience for me as a coach through the 53 years that I've been coaching is the fact that I got to coach my own son, and then I got to have him as my pitching coach. So I like David Hoffman to stand. All you guys know that if you've had sons that have played for you or have coached with you, if that's not the highlight of your life, nothing is. So the last thing I would say is I've been fortunate enough to be nominated and chosen for a lot of Hall of Fames, but there's really only one Hall of Fame that really matters, okay, and that's God's Hall of Fame. And that Hall of Fame, you don't have to do anything to enter that Hall of Fame when you draw your last breath, except you have to say 2 things: I believe. Thank you very much.
Amen, Coach Hoffman. Thank you. Our next inductee is Coach Joe Weber. Coach Weber has spent his coaching career at Columbus High School, where he's built one of the top programs in the country. He has over 500 career wins, 2 state championships in 2003 and 2015. He has been to the state Final Four 6 times and has 11 district titles and multiple Coach of the Year honors. Here's to another legend in South Florida baseball. Please welcome Coach Joe Weber into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Anthony, for putting on this event and everything that you do for high school baseball. I was reminiscing back here. I used to remember about Tuesdays, I think the Miami Herald would come out with all the stats and everything. And now you have it so that everyone is up to date. It's truly broad baseball, high school baseball, a lot of credibility. I was blessed at Columbus as a sophomore and junior to have Jim Hendry as my high school coach, who went on to become the general manager of the Chicago Cubs. And his assistant on that team was Paul Maneri, who also had a pretty good career coaching with LSU. And to follow in their footsteps at Columbus and to be at one place my whole career has been, just a dream come true and a wild ride. And hopefully it keeps going. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Weber. Our next inductee is Ralph Suarez. Coach Suarez has had 25 players drafted by Major League Baseball. Over 55 players moved on to play college baseball from Division I schools to NAIA schools. Coach Suarez coached at Gulliver Prep in 2004 to 2006 as an assistant coach, in 2006 to 14 as an associate head softball coach. He was the head coach at Miami Brito School from 1988 to 2003. Currently at Doral Academy Preparatory, his teams have won district championships in 2015, 2017 to 19, and 2021 to 23. Regional championships in 2018, 19, 22, and 23, and a state championship in 2022. Final Four appearances in 2018, 19, 22, 23, 2019, state runner-up. At Gulliver Prep, state championship in 2004. At Miami Brito, state championships in 96, 97, 99, and 2002. Also at Brito had Final Four appearances in 1993, 2000, and 2003. Along with 12 district and 7 regional titles, 394 wins, and 104 losses. Coach of the Year in 2019 and 2022, the All Sports Coach of the Year in 2002, the Collegiate National Baseball Coach of the Year in 2001, and the Dairy Farmer, Dairy Farmer Coach of the Year in 96, 97, 99, 2002, and 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ralph Suarez into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Hey guys, I want to thank Anthony and the HSBN. You guys do a phenomenal job. I'm humbled to be out here with all these great coaches. I played against Rich. I started my career as a young man. I played Ralph Enrique. A lot of the great. It's a humble to be out here. Just humbling to me. I want to thank my wife, who's been with me for 34 years, putting up with me, coming home late every night. My dad, who showed me great work ethic. All the great coaches, assistant coaches that I had, if it wouldn't be for them, I wouldn't have the success that I had. And also all the great athletes that I got an opportunity, whether we're male or female, to coach. Just a lot of gratitude. Thank you very much. And it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Coach Suarez. Our next next recipient is Coach Ray Evans. Coach Evans' overall head coaching record is 559 wins, 251 losses, and 2 ties in 33 years between Miami Beach High School, Dr. Kropp, Flanagan, and Dr. Phillips High School. As approximately 150 or more former players play or still playing collegiate or professional baseball, with the most notable being LA Dodger All-Star J.D. Martinez. Over his career, Coach Evans' teams accounted for 17 district championships, 21 regional appearances, 3 state championships, and a national championship in 2010 at Flanagan High School. 10 Coach of the Year awards. Ray currently resides in Orlando with his wife of 31 years, Christine, his son Tyler, and his daughter Emily. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Ray Evans into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Those last 2 speeches were pretty quick. You're going to have to endure. For the people out there, first of all, being up here with these guys, this is like the icons of South Florida baseball. I mean, a lot of them are a lot older than I am, but I looked up to some of these guys. And now to be up here with them as a part of this group, it's sort of crazy. A lot of us have spoken at state and national conventions on various topics, and usually you're asked to speak for 30, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and to sit there and have Anthony tell us, hey, you want to speak about your whole career in like 3 to 4 minutes, it's very difficult to do. So, I know my daughter wanted me to add something, but I cut it out and I didn't bring that speech on. Sorry, I'm just going to go ahead and go with what I got. Anthony, Paul, thanks for the introduction. Anthony, this is great. I mean, the rings, the shirts, first class. You did a great job. I'm really happy for you. There's so much that you can say off the cuff, you know, everything that a lot of us have gone through. I mean, I go back in 89 when I started. In Miami Beach, I've gone through 5 schools at this point. I'm on my 6th school, and I'm 35 years in, ready to walk. But the one thing that keeps me going is actually baseball. It's not the school board, it's not teaching anymore, it's actually baseball. And I think everyone feels more or less the same way. That's why we're all up here, because we've been doing it for so long. To keep this sort of short, I'm going to go ahead and read this at times. I might go ahead and throw something in there. But, you know, we all did our little speeches so that we can keep it short, so I'm going to start right now. Good evening, and thanks for that introduction, Paul. I'd like to thank again Anthony and HSBN for making high school baseball so important down here in South Florida. Remember when you started, and now what it's come to, like Pat McQuaid said, the media coverage and everything goes beyond belief because you don't get it from the papers anymore. And for honoring the coaches on the stage for their commitment and what they've accomplished in their career to this point as high school baseball coaches. I want to personally congratulate my fellow 23 inaugural Hall of Fame inductees. It's truly an honor, it really is, to be up here and share this night with such an outstanding group of individuals. One of the most important things I've learned over the years is to surround yourself with great people that want to be as successful as you do. People that hate to lose more than they like to win. I heard I can't remember who said it about where the bar was set. The bar's been set right there. Todd at Douglas, he set a bar up here. It's been all of us that have our bar set. Hialeah, Archbishop, Pat did it. I'd like to say we did something at Flanagan. It's absolutely out of this world what's going on at Douglas right now. And the whole nation's alive. You want to surround your people that hate to lose more than they love to win. I was always fortunate enough to find those type of people to coach with. And we were able to instill hard work, hard-nosed, blue-collar work ethic. And you need that. You need to possess that to be successful. I'd like to thank the people that have profoundly impacted my coaching career and truly the ones responsible for me being up here tonight. My college coach was Paul Maneri. He was at LSU. He retired. But he had coached at St. Thomas University. He was at Columbus. And he moved on to several different places, from Columbus to St. Thomas, Air Force County, Notre Dame, and LSU, and then recently retired. He's a Hall of Famer. His dad was a Hall of Famer. It's just in their blood.
He always had time for a call and gave me words of wisdom during our talks over the years. All my principals, but especially Sharon Shawless at Flanagan, who let me do whatever I needed to do to build such a special place. My ADs and assistant coaches over the 33 years, but especially the entire Flanagan coaching staff, and my AD, Larry Brown, during the 15 years there. Very, very special time. The parents go without saying. They believed, they listened, they did whatever I asked, and that helped. That always supports whatever you need to get done. The original coaching staff that started it all were Joe Chaco, Howard Stein, Eric Cruz, and Noel Figueroa. They're a very special group and helped make Flanagan what it was. They put in a lot of time and effort to help build Flanagan into the powerhouse it became. And of course, all of the players and parents over the 33 years that truly believed and bought into everything I preached and believed in. One of my biggest followers and fans was my father-in-law. He's not here with us anymore. One of his greatest thrills was meeting J.D. Martinez, getting a ball signed from him, and being able to take a picture with him at our alumni game. I see some familiar faces out here tonight that came here to support me. Man, I can't thank you enough, because after moving and going somewhere else, you come back and you're just not sure if anybody really knows or remembers or cares anymore. And I truly, truly appreciate it. I loved everything about baseball, about coaching baseball. The daily competition, the challenges, the opportunity to lead, the lasting relationships built with coaches, players, and parents. Being able to teach the players how to deal with failure and overcome adversity. Baseball has provided me with virtually everything I have. I've been very, very lucky to have been able to make a living and provide for my family while doing something I truly, truly love to do. The two pillars of my life have been family and baseball. My family, as well as all the families of the coaches up here, have had to endure a lot and sacrifice a lot. I've always preached family first, but many times the coaches' families take a back seat, even though they shouldn't. Times coaching takes you from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, vacations, and family time. And it's because of tournaments, fundraisers, booster club meetings, and playoffs and other things. To my children, Tyler and Emily, you're both so strong, have amazing personalities, are unique, independent, strong-willed, have amazing character, and are both so competitive as well. I have no idea where you got that. Some of my greatest thrills have been watching the two of you play your respective sports and grow as individuals. You're both very intelligent, mentally strong, and have such a great future in front of you because of your drive to succeed. I'm very, very proud to be the father of both of you. I love you both very much. My wife, Chris, which she couldn't be here tonight. She got really, really sick and had to go to the doctor and is in bed and has nobody taking care of her right now. Because of baseball, because of this. She's held our family together, so close together all the years of my coaching baseball. You know, it just engulfs you. It just takes over your life at times. Because you want to be so successful at what we want to do. She's been my rock, my voice of reason. She gave me strength, confidence, and support, and so much more when I needed it. I wish she was here to hear this, but she actually heard this type of speech in the national convention, so it was pretty cool. She always put things in perspective, had patience and understanding, and kept me focused on the task at hand. I can't thank her enough for being there every step of the way during the crazy ride that I've been on. And I love her very much. Once again, I want to congratulate all the inductees up here on your outstanding careers. I'm humbled to be up here with you. I want to thank Anthony and HSBN for what you've done for us tonight and what you've done for South Florida baseball. Paul, thank you very much again. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Coach Evans. Our next inductee is Charlie Cardinelli. Coach Cardinelli amassed a career record of 503 wins, 251 losses with 29 years as a head coach at Cooper City, Hollywood Hills, and South Broward. He's two-time Coach of the Year, 8 district championships, qualified for regionals 20 times, 1 state championship appearance, Also coached in Australia for 2 years in 1992 and 1993. I can honestly say that I am very grateful to Coach Cardinelli personally for making me realize that I shouldn't take myself too seriously. Enjoy the moment that we're in. So I want to thank you for that, Charlie. You're a good man. I miss seeing you around, and we're really honored that you're here tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Coach Charlie Cardinelli into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
I'm glad everybody gave me extra time to talk here. Whew. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm humbled to be here standing up at the stage with so many great coaches. They're all good teachers. They're great people. Thanks to HSBN, Anthony, Paul Herford. I've known Paul for a long time. My nephew played for him. Many have gone on, many of our players have gone on to great things, as you heard, baseball careers. Many more have been able to go on to become doctors, lawyers, scientists, teachers, police officers, and coaches. They've all gone on to be productive citizens and good members of society. All of you guys deserve credit for everything you've done for all of them. Yes, our families do take trade-offs because there are times we're not around. With that being said, I want to thank my wife and my daughters, Gianna, Gemma, Gina Bella, for putting up with the baseball season and the schedules over the last 39 years. They've had to endure some highs and lows of coaching. The time we're away from our families is just one of the many sacrifices. My kids like driving the golf cart around the field. My youngest one, Gina Bella, used to come to Hills, and when the kids couldn't bunt right, she would make them run. She was 8 years old. They were very happy when she went to dance instead of coming to the field. Let's see. Oh, I crossed all this off. See, I'm trying to make it faster. I grew up here in South Florida. I played at Hollywood Hills from 72 to 75. That's where I first met Coach Pat McQuaid. 1975, we were playing them at Nova. Our third baseman that day was Jeff Smith. He had one leg that was shorter than the other. There was a bunt down the third base line. Jeff went up to grab it, and, you know, he knocked it foul. But it was in fair territory, so I went in the dugout. We lost the game, and little did I know, that would not be the last time I lost to Coach McQuaid. We all had some very good battles over the years, and this is all about the memories, and the memories I'll take with me forever. My great uncle, my Uncle John, they were the ones that taught me baseball. My dad, my mom and dad, and my grandmother, my sister, they were our biggest fans. Everything started at Rotary Park back in the 60s. I started off at Norland because I was managing a restaurant, seafood restaurant in Boca, and my dad said, I know you don't like this, I know you like coaching. He goes, they need teachers and coaches in Dade County. He goes, why don't you go down there? So I did, and I was persistent, and I got a job at Edison Park Elementary, 2nd grade. That's where I first saw Columbus High School show up to play Edison. I thought the freaking Dodgers were in town. They came in these uniforms, and I was like, holy cow. So, anyway, I got a job at Miami Orland the next year, and I had some great kids, great parents, and we tried to turn a program around that hadn't won many games. One day we were playing Central. They hadn't won a game in 3 years, and there were News Channel 7 and Channel 10 were there. And they come up to me and they go, we only won 2 games. They said, Coach, what do you think about your AD getting arrested today? And I'm like, you need to talk to the head coach, okay? We can talk about that story another time.
1991 and 92, I was chosen to go to Australia. And while I was coaching in Dade County, I met some guys, and we were kind of like the young guns. We had Kenny Littman, Rich Bielski, Randy Milliken, and some guy named Ray Evans. We had some great times in the 80s and the 90s. The baseball conventions were out of control. Lots of golf and a lot of oysters. Then I got the phone. I called my sister while I was in Australia, and she said, "Hey, you got the job at Cooper City." So I have to thank Miss Sarah Rogers and Hollis Coleman for bringing me out of Dade County. It was hard to leave Dade. I really liked those kids, and they were happy that I got the job. They said, "Coach, you need to go." And so when I got to Cooper City, hell, I had a field on campus. I had an office upstairs. I remember the first day I bought bagels and I went and sat upstairs and I basically watched the sun come up because it was just something I couldn't believe happened. Anyway, Hollis, you gave me a great chance to come to Broward County. You also convinced me not to go to Flanagan when Ms. Rogers went there. Otherwise, I would have been the first coach over at Flanagan. That would have changed some history around here, I guess. Bob Fleischer was my trainer. He was the first person ever hired at Cooper City High School. He had the experience and the reason that kind of kept me in line, kept the other coaches in line, and Coach Fleischer, I'll always be thankful for that. He was also the first lightning expert before the weather bug. When Hollis retired, Paul Megman took over and he kept the tradition going, and he continued things, and Paul is still there. He just stepped down as AD, and now he's enjoying his free time. All right, I got time for this. One quick highlight. We're at a game, we're playing Coconut Creek. Matt Latos is on that team. Things are a little bit goofy. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of commotion. I don't know what the hell's going on. They come over and they say, "Coach, the principal just got run over by the golf cart." I'm like, what? And Megna's daughter fell off the seat, hit the gas. We can talk about that another time. I want to thank my assistants. All right, I'm going to name a few of them. Clinton Tommy, who's been with me since Norland, because it was hard to find people to come to Scott Park. I just got to be honest with you. And Clinton was not afraid, and he came, and he's been with us ever since, and now he's helping out at MacArthur, because that's where I'm at with Coach Odie McDowell, who to me was probably the greatest athlete ever come out of Broward County. And if you look up his statistics, you'll say, damn, 3 sports, Olympics, wrestling, and baseball. Anyway, that's another story again. I wrote my cousin into playing with, coaching with us. He coached with me for 10 years, and after we went to States in 2002, Little, as he was known, he stopped and he started just working over at McNichol and taking care of his kids. Alan Gates, and then my nephew, Chris Heinley, who played for Coach Herford and has now been at Cooper City for about 20 years. He was the youngest guy we had. He became our weatherman, and he would always tell us if there was a high risk of fire anywhere we were traveling across the country. He's also been known to get a little woozy after eating big breakfast and chugging a lot of chocolate milk. That happened in California. All right. To Ryan Fayford, Tim Fleming, Joe Fiala, who played at South Broward and then played American Legion for us. I used to coach American Legion in the summers over at South Broward, and I did that, for quite a long time. But I want to thank those guys and all the other coaches that I had that have helped me, and our voice of the Cowboys, and then the voice of Hills, and then the voice of South Broward, and now the voice of MacArthur, Mr. John Cagney, who I've known since we were at Boy Scouts way back when I was like 11. Can't forget all the assistant coaches we had sitting in the stands over the years. They were outstanding. There's a few guys
been coaching in Broward County. I've got Nino Shambari and Maldonado, Jordan Maldonado. They're now coaching the team over at South Broward. So as all these guys will tell you, there's a coaching tree that extends across the country, and it's kind of a neat thing. I want to thank all our booster parents over the years. They were outstanding. They started at Norland and, you know, went all the way through. And without booster clubs, you're kind of up the creek. At Cooper, we built the field, we put in the new grass, we put up the lights, we built the cages. We did a lot of things over there because we wanted to be like Pat. But I wasn't allowed to put up a locker room because that was only allowed at Nova. Okay. Nova had all the secret plans. You could do anything at Nova, but you couldn't do them anywhere. But anyway, Pat is the reason that Broward County baseball is the way it is. And like I said, we had some incredible rivalry games over the years. In closing, I want to thank everybody involved in this ceremony and to all my brothers in coaching and to all your families. Thank you for the great memories, and I hope we made a positive impact on all the players.
Great job, Coach Cardinelli. See what I mean? He taught me how not to take myself too seriously. All right, our next inductee is Coach Fred Burnside. Coach Burnside has accrued 51 years of coaching at Killian, Southridge, Miami-Dade South, Southeast Louisiana University, and South Dade High School, with 11 district titles, multiple local and state Coach of the Year awards, 4 state championship, Final Four appearances, and a state title in 2014. Coach Burnside was the National Coach of the Year in 2014, an assistant coach on the 1981 National Junior College National Championship team. He is in the City of Miami Chamber of Commerce Hall of Champions. He was inducted into the Pro Athletes Outreach Coaches Wall of Honor in 2009, has dozens of college players and several drafted players. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Fred Burnside into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Wow, Charlie, that's a tough act to follow. I also want to make sure I thank HSBN, Anthony and Pete, for all they do. This is a great honor, really humbled, and I really appreciate it. I want to congratulate my colleagues up here in their induction. I got to thank my family, my wife Josie, who was my team mom every year. She's pretty tough, you know. You hear the thing, I'm with you, win or tie. Well, what I had for dinner depended upon whether we won or tied. I had a lot of egg sandwiches. If we lost, I got an egg sandwich. That was it. I want to thank my sister Emmalou for being here tonight, my beautiful daughter Michelle, her husband Shane, my grandson Zion. Love you. I got to acknowledge some of my players that came tonight. First, the Manoa brothers. Eric Manoa, really, we jumped on his back in 2014. He took us to a state title. It was all him. I mean, his little brother, AK, was on the team, but he was just a sophomore. We used to call him, I called him Baby Huey. But AK, if you don't know it, 2019, he was the 11th pick in the Major League Draft, signed with the Blue Jays. Just 2 years ago, finished third in the Cy Young voting. We're so proud of AK. I've been fortunate. I've had 20-some players make appearances in the big leagues. And I can tell you, this man remembers where he came from. He's given back. The first one is really giving back to his high school. And I thank you. I got to acknowledge 2 other players. One of the best lefty I ever had, Junior Garcia, and his son who played center field for me, Jay. Thank you for coming down. You know, to have a successful program, as has been said, you know, you need a supportive administration, a caring faculty, and an active, involved community. And I've been blessed with that, both at South Dade and Southridge High School. My assistant coaches had some great ones, Steve Rogers, Eddie Doskow, John Manassa, Kevin Long. Without them, just couldn't have done it. I gotta do this. I gotta leave with this. You know, it weighs about 5 ounces, a little over 5 ounces. 2.86 to 2.94 inches in diameter. Has a composition cork center, encased in 2 thin layers of cement, or rubber cement. It has 120 yards of yarn, encased, held together by cowhide with 216 slightly raised red stitches. It feels great in a man's hand. It's the greatest game in the world. Over 80 million watch it every day, or every year, Big League Baseball. Some 22 million watch minor league baseball in over 150 cities in our great country. When Alexander Cartwright laid out the baseball field in 1845, 90-foot bases, it's perfect. The fastest human alive hits a ground ball short, and he's out at first in a bang-bang play. Unless you're in Key West. I'm just kidding. It's been around a while. When General Custer was butchered in the Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876, the Cincinnati Red Stockings beat the New York Knickerbockers 2-1. Yes, they were the Knickerbockers back in that day. Everyone has baseball terms. I'll take a pinch hitter, I'll take a rain check. You don't have to be 6'5", weigh 300 pounds. You have to have some intelligence, you have to be smart, and you have to have character. It's the greatest game alive. One swing can erase 4 or 5 failures. What a blessing it's been for me. God allowed me to be a part of this great game. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach Burnside. Our next inductee is Ralph Enriquez. Coach Enriquez, 1994, became the Key West High School varsity head baseball coach, and that was the beginning of turning Conch baseball into a national level program. During the 94-96 season, the Conchs ran a 44-game win streak, 1994 state runner-up with a 27-5 record. In 95, Key West High School, they were state champions and national runner-up in College Baseball Magazine with a 35-2 record. In 96, preseason national ranked #1. That season's team was 32-5 with back-to-back state championships and finished the season nationally ranked #3. In 1998, Coach Enriquez was offered an opportunity with the Atlanta Braves, and the Conchs that year went on to win another state title in '98 under Brooks Carey. In 2002, Coach won his first minor league championship and was the recipient of the Braves Minor League Manager of the Year. Coach Enriquez also, during this period, returned to Key West High School in 2002 to 2005 while still coaching in the Braves organization. In 2005, he led the Conchs to the state title #11 with a record of 28-5 and finishing that year ranked #6 in the national ranking by Baseball America. In 2006 and 2007, coached with the Yankee organization in the Gulf Coast League and the South Atlantic League. In 2009, he was the head coach at Berlin Jesuit, where he won his district championship. In 2014, Coach returned to Key West High School, and the Conchs went 27-4 and lost in the regional final. Since 2014 to the present time, Coach Enriquez has become the winningest coach in school history with 373 wins at Key West High School. With an overall winning record of 550 wins. He's had over 100 players at Key West High School receive baseball scholarships. 10 players have been drafted and play professional baseball. As many of the coaches up here can attest to, I think Key West is probably one of the toughest places to win in the country. I'm not going to talk about the umpires because, and I hope there's no umpires here, but they're bad in Broward, they're bad in Day, they're bad in Palm Beach. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say this, and there's a reason why so many teams like to go to Key West, and it's tremendous competition, but I can tell you, it is, without a doubt, in my opinion, the greatest high school baseball environment that you can play in. And when our kids are down there playing in that environment, it is a tremendous amount of fun. And that really is a testament to Coach Enriquez for all his hard work in doing that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ralph Enriquez into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everyone. Key West is really not that bad of a place. It really isn't. First of all, I'd like to, before I talk about my coaching career shortly and my history a little bit, is I'd like to thank Paul and Anthony for what they do, and the ambassadors at Andy. And hey, have you come here for high school baseball? Because like Coach Hoffman said, the best baseball, without a doubt, is played here in South Florida in the country. There's no doubt about it. First, I'd like to thank my wife, Dee Dee. Just like all these coaches have said about the sacrifices that our wives and families make. I can recall going back to 1994 when I became the head baseball coach, and my coaching staff, which was outstanding with Joey Warlow and Randy Sterling and many other great coaches that I've had, and we would be practicing 4 or 5 hours a night. And my wife would bring my children, Ashley and Ralphie, my son, who's one of our coaches in Key West, would be sitting in the bleachers there doing homework, and it'd be 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, we'll still be practicing. And they said, Coach, how much longer? And I said, we gotta be good. And we would continue there. And the funny part is the kids bought into this in 1994, and we shut the lights off at 11 o'clock, and kids would run to McDonald's, come back and put the lights on in the cage and stay there at 11:30 at night, and continue to work over and over again. For me, it's been a blessing, but it's been a bigger blessing for just learning about how great God is to you and what you could attribute. Our baseball program in Key West, as they've mentioned, is really special, and it's been very special to the whole community. It takes a village to raise a town, and Key West has embraced Key West High School baseball. Back when we were ranked #1 preseason, the Coach Hoffman beat us here in 1996. You couldn't find a USA Today newspaper on a Tuesday morning, because by 7 o'clock, all the machines in Key West were taken just to see a write-up and see if Key West was still ranked #1. With that, our Booster Club is phenomenal, the support that we've had. One of the things that I've been proud of, other than our winning, our tradition, the great city of Key West, and the support that I've received over the years in the program, was the involvement in the development of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes program in Key West High School baseball. And it's rubbed off into other sports, and we have such support in those capacities. And I have to thank God for giving me the strength to do that, because at the time when we started, it was kind of strange where, you know, in public schools to be able to have that, but we still got people to come in and do this program for us, and it grew. And just as baseball grew, FCA grew, and I've been a big supporter of that, and will continue that till I retire. But I'd like to thank all these coaches for being here tonight. It's been a great honor to be here with these great coaches, and you hear the stories of their accomplishments and what they've done, and it's it's just very special, and I'm very honored to be here with them tonight. And congratulations to everyone, and thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Enriquez. Again, it's just an amazing culture that you've built, so congratulations on that. Our next inductee is Coach Todd Fitzgerald. Coach Fitzgerald has amassed 505 career wins, 5 state titles, 5 national titles, 5 times National Coach of the Year, 29-0 record in 2023, 87-4 the last 3 years, 38 players drafted, over 100 players in college baseball, 14-time Coach of the Year, 22 straight years in the state playoffs. Again, I mentioned when I first introduced our coaches, I talked about you would hear some daunting numbers. Those are some daunting numbers. But Coach Fitzgerald is a tremendous human being. He's a down-to-earth guy, and you really are a profile of consistency, Todd, and you're still getting it done year in and year out, and we're all really proud of you the way you represent South Florida. So ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Todd Fitzgerald into the HSBN Hall of Fame.
First of all, Ms. Cardinelli, we need to also recognize Manny, son-in-law, and Aria. They just relayed from Charlie there, so we didn't want to leave them out. Humbled and honored to be here. Great atmosphere, being up here with all these great coaches. I think I've coached against every single coach up here that's been inducted tonight, and couldn't be more thankful for that because it built a lot of great relationships over the years. Had no idea my guys would be here. Didn't tell them about it. I'm sure some of my parents back there did. Thank you guys for being here and supporting us. This is what it's all about right here. That's why I coach. These guys right here, I love these guys to death. Really like to thank the one who makes it all happen, my wife, echoing Coach McQuaid there, high school sweetheart, 26 years, I think, something like 26, 27, something like that. I don't know. But more importantly, my pride and joy. Hunter, stand up, please. Hunter plays with, just signed with Seattle Mariners last year, so really proud of him for his accomplishments. And my son Devin, stand up, who's a senior, who's going to NC State for our official visit tomorrow. So that's my pride and joy. And you know, we give so much time to everybody else's kids, and you always take away from your own. And there's nothing greater than coaching your own kids. 2 different personalities. Hated Hunter as a practice player. Loved Devin in every facet. But when the game turned on Friday night, Thursday night, Tuesday night, Hunter was the guy that we wanted at the plate. Just a total, two totally different individuals right there, but they're both achieving their lifelong dreams. Really like to thank Anthony for the spandex shirts for all the coaches. Came out good. Paul put it on tonight. This has really been a great, just a great night. And man, I thought I would have to put glasses on when I see these guys walk in. But this is the epitome of why we are who we are. The support and the love that I have for these guys, and the support that they have for us as coaches. My assistant coach is a great coach, is only as good as the assistants that he has surrounding him. My assistant coach is here tonight, Fed, Simi, Will, Coach Bonner. Hey, snuck in here. Coach Bonner was my Little League coach. Must have rolled in tonight, got sunglasses on. Drives the school buses with those sunglasses on too. Kids get a little nervous about that, but we make it happen. Our super fan, Don Rathbone, back there is kind of taking him in. Been a great fan of ours, and all the parents and the booster club, and I got my 14U travel team up there. I didn't even know they even knew about what was going on. Those guys, the Pokers, former player Von Sturzbach, Kenny Hansley there. I wish he was that big when I coached him. He could have hit a few more home runs. But as a young coach, Sonny Hansley gave me my first job, real job. Recruited me out of high school. Probably wasn't good enough to even go to Nova, but didn't make it. The grades, obviously, that's so important. But he gave me my first coaching job. I was his pitching coach his last year here at Nova Southeastern University, and he told me it was his last year, and I said, well, it's only going to be a one-year deal because I'm not going to coach with anybody else. Really a great mentor, and really started my career as a coach. It was always about winning for me. 2-14-18 changed my life forever. The largest mass shooting in school history. Really started learning more about putting things in perspective and building better relationships with your players and loving your players more and letting them have a voice and listening to what they say instead of my way or the highway. I think it's real. I think the success we've had over the last few years is because of our coaching style and the way that these guys respond to the way that we coach them. We still coach hard, but they know that we care about them, we love them, and we're always going to protect them, and we're going to take care of them, and they're going to take care of us. Coach Hoffman, couldn't be more thankful to have you with me the last 7 years. You've taught me so much over time, and all you guys competing on the field, and look forward to seeing you guys in the spring. I got a few more in me, so hopefully we can keep that train rolling. We got a lot of goals set. My good friend Joe Jamuli's here. I don't know if he's here for me. He's probably taking notes on something else. Who knows? But I recognize you. You're back here. So thanks for coming, Joe. Man, just so thankful for everybody up here. I'm proud of all you guys and your accomplishments, and just humbled and honored. Love you all. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Thanks, Fitz. Great message. Thank you. Okay, our next inductee is Coach Terry Portis. Coach Portis has coached in 669 games as a head coach at Fort Lauderdale High School. This year will be his 50th year of coaching. Dozens of players in college ball, several regional playoff appearances, and over 300 wins. Terry's just the epitome of longevity, persistence, with a selfless approach. He's so admirable and truly exemplifies the true meaning of coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Terry Portis into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Every day is a great day for baseball. Every day is a great day for baseball. Every day is a great day for baseball. Coach Bonner, it's great to see you tonight, buddy. Long time no see. I'm honored to be up here tonight with these gentlemen, but I'm incredibly humbled to be on the same stage as Coach Cardinelli. Thank you for allowing me to be up here tonight. Anthony was pretty particular about the picture he wanted tonight, and I wasn't sure which one to take, so I gave my wife an option, and she chose this one, so I hope you like it. I want to thank Paul and Anthony for tonight. This is incredible, gentlemen. I understand tonight is about we. So that I can go out and play every day with the boys. My wife Phyllis, my family is here tonight. Binzer, Captain Kyle, Eamster, TVJ, James, Brittany, and Matthew. Thank you so much. I love you all. To the Flying L parents and players that are out here tonight, thank you for fitting the event into your schedules. It's deeply appreciated. And lastly, to my Flying L administration and staff that's here tonight, I especially want to recognize Miss Gallagher because I ignored her this morning and she got upset. So, Ms. Gallagher, I love you. Thanks for being here tonight. And I truly work for the best athletic director in Broward County, Mr. T.J. Lawrence. My first opportunity to coach came as an 18-year-old. Immediately after I graduated high school, our 11 and 12-year-old team had a coach that had a death in the family and had to leave town. And my high school coach recommended me. And as luck would have it, we won the county championship, and I made the mistake of thinking coaching was easy. I went on to college, played at Grand Valley State, played for former professional coach Phil Regan. Everybody up here remembers Phil Regan, right? The Vulture. He was a relief pitcher for Drysdale and Colfax. Yeah, so he didn't do much. But he was a heck of a coach, and I gotta thank him because after games I would pick his brain and ask him why he didn't hit and run here and why he didn't run there. And God bless him, he'd take a half an hour after games to educate me. After college, I moved to South Florida and got involved in the Will Manners program. And from there, I was hired as an assistant coach by Coach Mike McMillan at Fort Lauderdale High, which has become my home since 1989. I've learned a couple of important things while coaching. I've learned many, but Charlie, you took one of them. I learned that the best coaches sit in the stands during baseball games. I understand that well. And I learned that baseball is like church, many attend, few understand. And I'm going to finish with one of my favorite jokes, and I think the coaches will appreciate it. A pope passes away and has been at the pearly gates by St. Peter. And St. Peter says, "Your Eminence, I'm going to show you your living quarters myself." So he takes the Pope to this nice apartment building, and he's got a nice one-bedroom apartment and beautiful flat-screen TV and a nice kitchenette. And the Pope seems pretty happy, and as they're walking out to go out the door, the Pope peeks out the window. And across the street is this mansion, and his stretch limo pulls up, and this gentleman gets out of the stretch limo, and they roll out a red carpet, and they walk him up to the door, and he goes in, and Pope says to St. Peter, he says, I gave the Lord 70 years of my life. What did that guy do? And St. Peter said, "Listen, we have plenty of popes up here, but that's the first baseball umpire to make it." God bless you all. Thank you. Have a great night.
Good job, Coach Portis. I like it. Now for our next inductee, my friend, Coach Tom Duffin. Coach Duffin has been at Monsignor Pace for 30 years and 25 as the head coach, accumulating 509 career wins. 123 players signed to college scholarships, 17 players drafted, 5 in the first round. 7 state Final Four appearances, 2 state titles. Pace's program ranked nationally 11 times under Coach Duffin, and he's been the 5-time Coach of the Year. I've always said one of the toughest jobs in the state of Florida, in my opinion, is Monsignor Pace, because there's such high expectations year in and year out. And Tommy Duffin has always handled it like a champion with his persistence. And again, the way he's been such a great leader. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Tommy Duffin.
Are we all still awake? I hope so. Rich, you were to lead off
I must be in a slump, so I'm down in the order. But I deserve to be down in order in front of all these great coaches up here. So when I'm thinking about the other day how I'm going to say this speech, I know you're all going to hear, and you've already heard so many wonderful speeches and so many great stories. But I figured I better not be talking so much about myself because, you know, my wife, she's always, when she hears me talk about the glory days, you know, you're Al Bundy, you know, married with children, and I'm not going to be that guy tonight. But I do want to shed a little bit of an intimate story that not even my family knows, and they'll hear it for the first time tonight. So good evening. And let me, in my Irish ways, talk a little bit in a story. As a young boy, I did what all good Catholic kids were supposed to do when bedtime came around. I would close my eyes and begin saying my prayers. I would pray for the usual, family, health, peace in the world. But there was always one moment in my prayers reserved for asking God for athletic success. Being an athlete and baseball being my primary sport, there were three things I would ask God, the good Lord, to grant me. The first request was to one day get the game-winning hit in a state championship game. That prayer was answered in May of 1985, where my Spartan teammates and I were able to defeat Leesburg High School for the state 3A baseball title. I was fortunate enough to deliver that game-winning hit in extra innings. My second request to God was to grant me the ability to play baseball at the collegiate and professional levels, both of which were granted to me after receiving a college scholarship and later being drafted and selected in the MLB draft. The third and final request was to eventually be good enough to make it into the Hall of Fame. As my playing career ended, the realization of never making it into the Major League Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, sunk in. I started to feel incomplete. I had not reached my final goal. Little did I know, God was a stickler for details. I should have clarified to God that my request was for the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So tonight, I want to start by thanking Anthony Uterio and HSBN for granting me that third request of making it into the Hall of Fame. That is the HSBN Hall of Fame. I would like to thank all the coaches that are here tonight, many of which have shared some intense battles with my teams over the years. I am truly humbled and honored to be part of such a prestigious fraternity. But the true honor is to be able to call many of you my friends. I would like to thank Monsignor Edward Pace High School and the administration for allowing me the opportunity to coach at my alma mater for the last 30 years. I would also like to thank all of my former and present players that were willing to put up with all my demands and the strict guidelines while playing for me. It was truly a wonderful experience watching these young men reach their fullest potential on and off the field. As most of you know, a head coach is not successful without having dedicated and loyal assistant coaches. I would like to thank my assistant coaches, many of which have been by my side for many years and who have helped keep the Pace baseball program very competitive. Finally, and most importantly, I would like to thank my wonderful wife, Marie, and my two exceptional sons, Tommy Jr. and Sean. The three of you have always supported me through all the good times and bad times, and you have allowed me to coach, even though it meant sacrificing time spent with the family. Thanks again to all of you, and to you coaches here tonight. Please know all of you have made South Florida baseball what it is today. Thank you very much.
Good job, Coach Duffin. Our next inductee is Coach Frank Bombalis. Frank has been the was head coach at Coral Springs for 24 years with 355 career wins and a .561 winning percentage over those 24 years. Over 60 players went on to play college or pro ball. From 2012 to 2014, the Colts won 3 straight district titles and a regional final in 2010. Coach Bombalis' 300th win is a definite special memory, and it was on April 4th, in 2011, and it came as his son Cole threw a no-hitter. It's a pretty awesome memory. Frank, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Frank Bombalis into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Thank you all for being here tonight. As you can see, my accolades aren't as extensive as the rest of these coaches, but someone had to lose. So, I didn't win as many games, as many titles as these guys did, but we did it with perseverance, okay? And the two coaches that went through the journey with me for the majority of the time was Coach Fredman and Coach Simaluka. And they will tell you there were times where there was a ground ball hit and we'd cover our eyes. And then there was a ground ball hit and we'd say, hallelujah, because that's going to be another double play. But it's been an honor to be up here with all these gentlemen who've had all these accomplishments. I want to thank Anthony and Paul, and I will say this, that HSBN is the best thing that ever happened to high school baseball in South Florida. And I also want to thank my son Cole, who has gone through high school baseball with me from birth. And he is still in baseball himself and will probably be in for the rest of his life, just like I was. The introduction, it's an honor to be in the inaugural introduction of the South Florida Hall of Fame. And I want to thank all my coaches, not only Coach Fetterman and Simaluka, but all the other gentlemen that went through the journey with me. I also want to thank all the parents that had to put up with me for all those years and all my demands of them raising money and bettering the team and bettering the field. And I also want to thank all my players, which I've had quite a few good ones, for putting up with me for all the years. I do have a story about one of my players. Now I'm retired, I get to go to the gym more often. And I show up at the gym one day, and lo and behold, there's one of my ex-players. He comes up to me, he says, "Coach, how you doing?" I said, "I'm great." He goes, "Coach, I want to thank you." And I said, "For what?" He goes, "I want to thank you for making me work as hard as I did, because when I went into the Army, the work out there was nothing compared to yours." Also wanted to tell you a little bit about how I got the job at Coral Springs High School. One day the principal came up to me and said, "Coach, how'd you like to coach the baseball team?" And I said, "Well, sure, that'd be great. I would like to do that. I had been coaching the softball team for the last 5 years." So he calls me in the office, he said, "Look, there's one thing you gotta do." He said, "I'm gonna let you coach that baseball team, but you gotta clean it up." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, the coach before you didn't have a whole lot of rules, and there wasn't a whole lot of discipline." So I said, "Okay." So that's how I got into the program. So the first year, there were like maybe 16 guys that came out for the team, and it wasn't hard to pick it. We had no JV, so the guys pretty much that all came out and made the team. Well, we ended up having a pretty good team, actually, for what we had. And on that team happened to be a young man named Anthony Uturiello. And he was one of the guys that I guess I had to clean up. Well, he had a really good year. Okay, he had a really good year, and that group of players prepared me for the rest of my career at Coral Springs High School, because the rest of the years after that were all easy. So I want to thank Anthony, I want to thank Paul for this great honor, and I want to thank you all for being here.
The next inductee is Coach Ed Waters. Coach Waters attended St. John's University and was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 1993. Been coaching at St. Thomas since 1973. 3 state titles, 2 as an assistant in 2003 and 2018, and 1 as the head coach in 1995. Amassed 481 career wins, 32 district championships, 9 state Final Four appearances, inducted into the FACA Hall of Fame in 2001, the Broward County Sports Hall of Fame in 2006, and the Brian Piccolo Hall of Fame in 1985. Because of his impact at St. Thomas, the field at St. Thomas is named Ed Waters Field. Ed likes to tell the story, jokes around. He says, when I was in high school, when I was playing third base, I leaned over and I told him I was going to take his job one day. And I was blessed 13 years after that to have the honor to be named the head coach at St. Thomas Aquinas. But in all seriousness, the one thing I can tell you is you can't replace Ed Waters. And he was so generous to me by always making me feel welcome, but never intruding, even though I asked him to many times, because I needed his help. I'm so grateful to Ed for his friendship, for all of his support over the years. He has a brilliant baseball mind. He can also give you any Seinfeld reference that you want to know. But what truly makes Ed Waters special is his hugely compassionate heart. And I am blessed and I'm honored, and I'm asking you to please join me in welcoming Ed Waters into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Never met a Mike I didn't like. Thank you, Paul, so much. Thank you, Anthony. This is a wonderful event. I want to thank my family for still being here and being awake. I want to thank all the people that came, for everybody here. This is a tremendous group of individuals. I can't help but tell a Charlie story. Charlie has a unique way of coaching. Their dugout at Cooper City was our visiting dugout was very close to third base. One time a player in Cooper City was going for a triple, and there was no coach at third base, and we were, where's Charlie? Well, he was in the dugout with us, talking to the coaches during the inning. In fact, he was telling us what pitches to throw. And that's a true story. Not about the pitches, but him being in our dugout. Charlie is very unique. All these people are unique. There's so many people to thank. I want to thank my family for letting me coach all those years and still coaching all those years. My wife has been very patient with me. I want to thank my daughter Jessica, who's here tonight. When we won the state championship in 1995, we had our team party a few days later over at Tropical Acres. And it was the same day as her 8th grade father-daughter dance. Sorry I missed that. Those are some of the things that you look back on and you think of the highlights and the things that you maybe should have done that you didn't. When I started at St. Thomas, I had just gotten released for the second time by the Yankees. That always helped me when I had to cut kids. I go, you got cut? I got released twice by the same organization. So I was 25 years old and they offered me to help coach baseball, and I was like, I'm still playing. I'm still in my mind. I'm getting better. I'm only 25 years old. So I started coaching, and one day I told the kid how to do something, and he did it. And then I realized I felt better about that kid doing what he did than if I did it myself. And after about 3 years, I realized, maybe high school coaching was for me. I was waiting for that call from an organization to come, another organization. I'm still waiting for that call. So until I get that call, I think I'll stay at St. Thomas. It's year 51. The only reason I stayed on that long is because I wanted to make sure that I beat out George Smith, who was there 1 year ahead of me. George Smith is probably the most influential coach, athletic director in the history of Broward County. I also want to stay around so I could always be around Pat McQuaid. They did a video a few years back about the rivalry between St. Thomas and Nova. And if you go on YouTube, you can find it. It's a tremendous 3.5-minute thing about the rivalry between the two schools. One of the things I found out in coaching, again, when I was first coaching, you trip your mom to win, that, there's more important things, and I might still trip her if she was alive, but no, I'm only kidding. The coaches, and this is almost to a man, when the game is over, one thing you learn about baseball is baseball is a life sport. 4 out of 7 wins the World Series. That's only a 57% winning percentage. But, you have 4 good days in a week, it's a pretty good week. So, we kind of know the reality of baseball. You can win, you can lose. And I can say that most of us, and probably all at all different times, when the game is over, and after you blow off the steam for a loss, you can get together, shake hands, respect each other, and go on and become friends. And again, the great example I can give is Pat McQuaid. We have become lifetime friends, and we are, without a doubt, the biggest rivals in Broward, I think, over the years. And I think you'd agree, Pat? And I'm so proud of him going into the ABCA Hall of Fame this year. That's a tremendous honor. My family, when I started teaching at St. Thomas, I'm sorry if I'm getting a little long here, my wife was expecting our first child, Aubrey. Well, 2 of her sons have graduated from St. Thomas. My grandson Wade, sitting right there, was the left fielder on the state championship team in 2018. And they were supposed to have a picture of him and I up on the sting, but they cut off his head, so they couldn't show that picture. But he wore my number that year, which I was so proud of. And I get the picture with him and I with the gold medals together. That was such a great honor. And his brother Wyatt, who's a sophomore at Florida State now, playing on the club team. Club teams are pretty big right now. Pitching up there, had a tremendous senior year, and it was so great. A lot of the coaches have talked about coaching their sons, which is a tremendous thing. I had 3 daughters, 3 wonderful daughters, but I didn't have any sons. But I had 2 grandsons that have played for me at St. Thomas, and what a thrill that is to have them every day when being out in the baseball field with them. It's just something God bless me very much with that. I know I'm going to forget to thank people. Coach Wardlow's out there, who's a head coach now from Key West. They talked about him before. I want to let you know, Coach, don't take this the wrong way, but in 86 and 88, we won 2 regional playoffs down there and got out of there alive without any problems. No, we went down there last year. It's one of the greatest baseball paradises in the world. They love baseball down there. It's an honor to go down there. Want to thank all the assistant coaches I had over the years, very many of them. And I want to thank the head coaches that took my place that I coach for now. They're my bosses. Bobby Lawson played for me, and I was his assistant. Troy Cameron, who's the #1 draft pick, who played, he's now an assistant softball coach at Florida State. I was his assistant for 7 years, and now I'm Joey Wardlow's assistant. It's so nice being an assistant, because you don't get those texts, you don't get those phone calls. You can be the good guy. I'll leave you on one thing. I say 3 things I always say to the parents at the beginning of the season. Let the players play, let the coaches coach, and let the umpires umpire. If you have to do anything, yell at the umpires. Because as Meatloaf once said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, thank you everybody. This is a wonderful thing. Thank you guys.
Great job, Coach Waters. Umpires are taking a beating tonight. All right, last but not least, we're bringing in the closer. Coach Ernie Padron. Coach Padron has 31 years as a head coach in Miami at Florida Christian, Terra Institute, and Coral Gables High School, amassing 590 career wins. From 2001 to 2006, was in the state Final Four with Florida Christian for 6 straight seasons, 3 state championships, coached 16U USA national team that won gold in 2008, 2009, and 2011. Over 100 players played college baseball, several players drafted. I thanked him privately, but I want to publicly thank Ernie for all of his friendship and support over the years, and also given me an opportunity to be a part of USA Baseball. That was one of the highlights of my career as well. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ernie Padron into the HSBN South Florida Hall of Fame.
Good evening. I want to thank HSBN, of course, with this night, this honor that we all won't forget. They usually leave the best for last, but this is not the case. I guess I'm hitting last. Was it my exit velo or my launch angle that I'm having trouble with, so I can work on it? Anyways, Anthony did say I'm last because he went from tallest to shortest, so here I am. It wasn't that funny, guys. I'm sorry. Well, anyway. On stage, you have the best of the best in Dade of Broward County. And it's an honor to share this moment with you guys, because it's really an honor. Most of my losses are to the guys behind me that are sitting behind me. So, Coach Hoffman, Coach Bilski, Coach Fitz have more combined rings than Brady, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, and Jennifer Lopez. I want you guys to know that. One of the mottos that I've always lived with my teams is the word Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese phrase that means the continual process of improvement. And that's something that I've taken to light in my life, and I've made it a calling, my motto. It's been 31 years. I quit coaching baseball, retired from coaching baseball just because I was exhausted. Did everything that I think that I could have done. The last thing that I was going to expect, that I would be standing up here and being honored, and I thank you again. I want to thank God for the path that He put me on. My parents. Specifically, my dad, who passed away in 2002, and gave me the love and the passion of what hard work was. I came to this country when I was 3 years old. My parents did not know the language, did not know anybody, did not know anything. And all he did was show me what work looked like and what passion was. And to my parents, I think, because of the success that I had, and the success that my children had in life, I promised myself I wasn't going to break down, but I guess I failed in the first inning. I'm sorry, guys. A lot of mentors that came to my life, guys that are on this stage that I would call. Coach Hoffman, I would call him for advice. He would pick up the phone, no problem. Paul Herford, Mike Momini's another one. Just a lot of people to thank. Ron Rodriguez, who gave me my first coaching job as a JV coach at Miami High. Rob Hertler, Harv Hammock at Dade Christian. The guys at USA Baseball giving me the opportunity to represent this country, to stand and listen to the Cuban national anthem being played, and then the American national anthem being played, and then being interviewed by the Cuban newspaper and asking me political questions about why'd you leave Cuba and this and that, and I would tell them in Spanish, I really didn't come here to talk politics, I came to kick Cuba's ass, and we did. I said that in Spanish. This story I'm only bringing out for Fred Burnside. Listen, you guys can't leave because I'm the last one, so I'm going to talk. I'm bringing this story out for Fred. In 1991, we were part of winning our first district championship. It's La Progresiva, a small little Presbyterian school. We went out to go to state that year, but we're playing at Grapeland Park. There's a play at the plate, the ball, the runner. We're the home team. We're gonna walk off here. The ball comes there, the runner comes to the plate. There's a cloud of smoke. The ball gets there. The umpire asks the catcher, "Show me the ball. Show me the ball." He shows them the ball. Fred, what did the umpire say? Safe. We talk about how bad the umpires are, right? So we ended up winning that and going to state. So in 2001, I almost had to leave Florida Christian, where I got my most success, due to the fact that the administration asked me, your schedule's you're playing too hard of a schedule. you know, you guys were 500 this year, 500 last year, and you guys got to change that. You got to give me another schedule. And I told them, if you want a recreational coach, I'm not your guy. This is the way that I know how to build a state championship team. And it made me a prophet, because that year we did end up going to the state championships, and we made 6 consecutive trips. Not because of me, just because of the type of players that we had. And I want to thank the players as well, because without them, we know that this coaches wouldn't be here. Because your hard work doesn't go unnoticed, your sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed, and all the things that you do for the program does not go unnoticed. And I have a couple ex-players here. Joy Perez, thank you. His dad, best groundskeeper in the world. He paid me $50 to say that, so thank you, Joe. It's parents like Joe that honestly, with the time, money, and building a unit to help out financially. So I thank you for those sacrifices too, and you as a player. Assistant coaches, it's been mentioned before that without the assistant coaches, we can't get nothing done. There's 2 right here today, and I thank you, Jesse Fernandez. Let me tell you that you got coached by a Hall of Famer, and then you work with a Hall of Famer, so you got a lot of pressure to go. George Roca, thank you. And there's a lot of guys that are not here that had a big part of my success, of our success. So I thank you guys for there. And my 3 kids, I'm so proud. I know you laugh because I cried, but I cried when Bambi died. You know it, when his mom died, so it's okay. It's all right. My son Giovanni, my oldest, he got to be on my teams, didn't play. So the parent-coach conference went a little rough talking to myself. But I could have told you something, that he could have played for the Houston Astros, because he was great at stealing signs. That's factual. My oldest daughter, Kaylee, who's took part of the family business and now is in athletic administration, working as an assistant athletic director. I'm proud of you. My youngest, Katrina, sorry, I almost called you Kaylee too. I always do it. Katrina, who has been working as a nurse for 7 months, who graduated from Nova Southeastern, who had a little bump in the road. She didn't pass her certification test the first time, but she got it the second time. But that's not the funny part. She's the smartest one of all my 3 kids, believe it or not. But she broke down, and I talked to her the best way. I go, said, you got 24 hours to get over this. Okay, you got to figure it out. You got to find a way to get it done. So the next day she calls me, Dad, why do you always got to talk to me like a coach? But I got the message across, and I'm proud of you guys. And their mom had a lot to do with it, and I want to thank her for making sure that I had the time to coach, I had the time to do what I needed to do, and they were fed, they were bathed, and their homework was done, and they were always there at every game. So I thank you for that. I want to leave you with one thing. This is from a movie in 2005, the movie Coach Carter. There's a scene in the movie where one of the kids quits and he wants to come back, and the coach asks him a question, and he just started reading this because he had to learn. And it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine. We consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, or presence automatically liberates others. This is coaching, this is teaching, this is mentoring. That our light shines, and then it shines on them. So I want to thank you again. Have a great night, and thank you, HSBN, again. Thank you, guys.
Good job, Coach. This is why we wanted to leave Coach Padron for last. You laugh, you cry. It's very moving. We appreciate it very much. I know it's been a long evening, but I hope all of you now can really appreciate the importance of honoring these great men and really thanking them. But no ceremony could really ever capture all of their accomplishments and successes. But the love and admiration that is felt by so many for all of you is immeasurable. So on behalf of Anthony and HSBN, I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to once again congratulate these Hall of Famers and express our love and our gratitude for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. Good night, everybody. Thank you.